here. This event was sponsored by the University of Washington Bothell's MFA program in Creative Writing and Poetics. And we're really grateful to them for the support. And thank you so much to Ristretto Roasters for hosting the space. And thank you to Jane, Travis, and Michael, who have traveled from afar to read with us. And thanks to Dana for co-organizing. I'm going to just read the author bios, and then that's just the order that we're going to go in, and then we'll get started. And finally, Dana Middleton is a Poetics MFA candidate at the University of Washington Bothell. They write poetry about surveillance, control, wild dogs, and foam.
Thank you all. Is it on now? Uh-oh, okay. Thank you all again for coming. It's impossible to start talking about one thing without expanding beyond that frame into the next one, since nothing can be contained without exclusion happening. I can't accept a framework which doesn't address the absurdity and gravity of doing and being anything in a pyramid of social and physical death. There are many frames to choose from that operate from various angles and at different distances. And this is a way to narrate the dizzy process of attempting something that cannot be done because of everything that has already happened, because of the static of dispossession, because of irreparable disjunction, because the violent past gives way to a violent present, and there is no sense to be made of it, no answers or prizes. I could say I choose particular frameworks because they feel necessary in terms of trying to understand how to begin to engage in struggles when I am coming from a position of being able to leave, of being able to depart from abjection to a speculative distance. And I choose other particular frameworks because they center my own specific experiences of exclusion and disruption. I feel uneasiness lodged like a wedge that breaks the frame open as I try to situate myself inside it. Suddenly, it is there on the slope above town, the campus with too much fencing, the treeless lawn. There are people out in the yard. Strange to see them from the highway, up on their own plane, because prison is a place of exile, where people go when they are removed from highways and grocery stores and Saturday afternoon dates to the reptile zoo. Strange because it brings division's fabric down to chain link and razor wire, and there are tools in every hardware store for cutting poles. But it's not about that. Prison exists when it exiles the idea that we could cut holes in it. And I know this because I see the prisoners moving around in the sunlight. I say that the fence is the only thing keeping them hostage in that ulterior zone. And we keep driving, and we do not cut a hole. Foucault says there were many reasons for confinement during the classical age: not being married or baptized, or having money and not spending it. Also the crimes of taking licentious liberty or simply being vermin. It devolves into a series of adjectives why anyone deserves to be punished and forgotten: common, decrepit, girlish and old, damaged, weak, debauched, imbecile, infirm, libertine, ungrateful, dissolute, insane, incorrigible. We hear what the kings and jailers called them, but what did they call themselves? In dungeons and leprosariums, in caged-off courtyards in the winter rain, I imagine what we can't know, criminal women in their so-called second childhoods, giggling in conspiracy, building new bodies out of mud and hair that would move through walls to do their bidding, traveling the streets as joyous filth, stealing meat and smothering nobles, returning to dissolve again beyond guilt or correction. At the end of the Middle Ages in Western Europe, social deviants were cast out of the city and forced onto boats. Popular tales called this stultifera novis, the ship of fools, said they were men in search of their reason. They sailed and sailed, passage, threshold, the enclosure of the outside. It's hard to tell where the metaphors met reality. There were two shores. My deviant gender extracted from a prickly meadow, feeling nowhere near the borders. Troubling to leave and impossible to arrive. The edge blurs, and then I don't know what I'll touch next. My own body, the old appendages morphing, taking on new textures and pulses, names receding in hot waves. If madness is aquatic, one day I wake up on board in that peeling gray space, and my body is not the same. There are others around me, unstable, adrift on the underside, and there is no scientist to measure our levels, to locate us. And if there were, we would spill him into the unknowable sea. But the passage that stole and sold millions is not metaphorical. There were physical ships in the water. Because these ships were prisons, because San Quentin was originally a prison ship, they have put down anchors on land. Slavery is undead, and it wears razor wire, and white bureaucrats pull it around on a boat trailer with an F-450 full of paperwork and money. And if a prisoner inside wishes to speak to the outside, their voice is digitally mapped, and they no longer own the secret of their whisper. They have to pay to have their whisper stolen. And a print is also made of the voice on the other end. And the database company spits more money into the truck bed, and the white bureaucrat smiles, and the anchor drags through a treeless rural area, and the call is lost. And the voices are being processed, and the necessary paperwork is flying out, and the man's smile counts the money a third time, and the prisoners are seasick and carsick and homesick, and they can hear their voices being played back in commercials on the radio, saying things they've never said. During the volunteer training, the DOC coordinator calls the Gender Identity Support Program a sign of the times. It's not even a dog whistle. She means going to the dogs. And I do feel like a dog in there, sitting so quietly for 3 hours. Such a good dog, biting no ankles through my nylon muzzle. As we review all the ways a prisoner is surely human, but still not deserving of friendship or trust. Even after release, the DOC has a hold on their social world, the invisible fence of approval forms. They are always prisoners, always state property. There is someone else with a late dirt stash at my table, and I want to piss on the signature lines with them. I want them to chew my muzzle off in the bathroom, so we can lick the floors with our long tongues touching. I can tell how the church people feel, They're non-reactions when I say queer community, something I only say around straight people, something to neutralize my vibrating presence, my bristling chin, my singular desire to crush the prison with my hot pink jock-strapped ass. I shed my skin. I mean, it came off in flakes, and people witnessed this process. Nothing about it was quick. I had to rub myself against brick corners to get one leg loose of myself. A lot of work for little difference. Anyone craning to see what I'm becoming will continue to extend. There's no tether. I put fake skins over my real ones over my fake one, until I can't tell who's growing a mustache and who's letting down hair. I don't want this molting pinned up and described. I don't want a queer taxonomy. I say both of you, none of you, all of you. When and where is the world that anyone can live in? I pick up a scraggly nest of lichen on the side of the trail and press into its spongy response. This is a nature preserve, and at the same time, a people's ancestral land. And it's the composite layers, the interwoven tendrils, the overwriting that make a beautiful thing so merciless. Structural devastation has brought me here. It offers me someone else's time and space as things produced from behind the curtain, as though there are no cobalt mines, no container ships, no remotely operated missiles, no forced treaties, no loaded questions, no rent hikes, no life sentences, no patrols, no predatory loans, no colonial maps, no prisoners, no sugar mills, no exported garbage, no extraction, no war on drugs, no airstrikes, no removals, no grand juries. The curtain's folds are inexhaustible. They will hide everything from the right angle. They will put a nature preserve in front, an ethical consumption, a sustainable business, a reform bill. It's a difference in marketing, in upstage scenery, while the curtain remains, to distract us and protect the conditions for devastation. I don't mean there is no joy. There is this seed green clump of lichen, its symbiotic filaments, its mutual mesh. I mean it's simultaneous. If there is going to be a possibility for life, there can be no separation. Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming. We're really excited that you're here. That's the end of our reading. So thank you.